Gene Carter grew up at Keys. Father was Houston Carter, and my mother was Mary Elizabeth. Back then it was open range, no fences, very few fences. There was no electricity in that area back then, and the roads were just, you'd call them trails now. We had kerosene lamps, and you didn't stay up very late, not even to listen to the radio, which I can remember when we got our first radio. People would come to our house on Saturday nights and listen to the Grand Ole Opry. In the summertime, when we had an opportunity to play, we played ball. We made some of our balls, and the way we made them out of socks, unraveled socks, and used the string off of socks and wrapped them around a hickory nut. And then you sew them, you get it all balled up, and then you sew them, and then after you play with them for a while, those little strings stick out, and you can't throw them very far or knock them very far. And then on Sunday afternoons, we rode cattle, calves, and that was the biggest two events, I guess, and things of that nature happened generally on Sunday because most of the time we were working. You had sprouts to cut, apples to pick, peaches to pick, hogs to feed, chickens to feed. We did do a little cob fighting back then. You fed everything. You raised corn and you fed everything corn. So there'd always be lots of cobs. And those cobs were light, and they wouldn't kill you, but they would sting you, unless they were water soaked, and then they were heavy like a rock. I had one brother. He was 21 months older than me, and that's another thing that we did. We did a little fighting along the road. We'd knock the hair off every now and then, in the skin. We cut our own wood, and we only had a cross-cut saw that one got on one side and one on the other, and it took most of the day on Saturday to cut enough wood to last a week. We heated with wood, and my mother cooked with wood, and we had to split the wood to make stove wood, as they called it. Hunting was a big part of our livelihood back then. We hunted squirrels, and then of course we hunted at night by a kerosene lantern. The animals that we caught, we skinned them and put them on a board and stretched the fur out, and then there'd be somebody come to town, or there'd be a place in town where you could sell furs. Made a little extra money. But of course it was the fun of the thing. Up above Carter's Landing, there was a bottom there, a big open field, and our cattle ran down in there, and we'd have to go see about our cattle, and we'd walk through the woods and go down there, and of course we'd swim whenever we'd go down there when it's in the hot summertime. Very few people around. You didn't have to worry about anyone seeing you if you wanted to go swimming without your clothes on. I remember when my dad and his brother would go in the wintertime, they would go down and kill fish. And right there at the end of Cherokee Landing was the deepest hole of water that I knew of. And they would gig fish, and they used a flat bottom boat made of wood. Not too many fish would fill the little boat up, and they'd have to take it to the bank, the fish to the bank, and put them out. And they did that on Sunday afternoon most of the time, and people would come from all around to get fish, and they would can those fish in the wintertime. Just when we were going to school, sometime we'd have fish patties. I guess she put eggs or something with it, and it was canned fish, They canned them in a pressure cooker, put eggs with it, I guess, and make a patty, put it between two biscuits, and Sure beat a hickory nut. Back then, those old timers, they used persimmons a lot. And they made a salve out of them to rub on their head. They thought it made the hair grow, but it didn't really. It just puckered up what little they had left around the edges. Park Hill back then was almost as big as Tahlequah. Well, I guess it was bigger than Tahlequah just a few years before my time, but it was almost as big as Tahlequah whenever I was a little boy. I can remember when they had some of the Cherokee marbles, you calling them pots, I believe they called them. And I can remember when some of them were you'd put in so many marbles and leg for who shoots first, second, or third, and whoever you got inside the ring, all the marbles you knocked out were yours until you missed. And we used also kerosene on our breeches legs to keep the ticks and chiggers off of us. And on our long sleeve shirts, when you go to pick blackberries, then whenever you got home, you took a bath with sulfur soap. But before you took that bath, you drew the water, you got the water out of the well and put it in a big number 3 wash tub, set it out in the sun. And then when you came in, you drew some more water when you got ready, you drew some more water to cool it off a little bit and make more of it. And boy, were we clean once a week. The things I learned to do back then probably helps me more today than any other thing.